rape is rape, whether in a marriage or in any other way.
Unfortunately, many women think that rape is impossible when you are in a partnership or when you are married. Rape is possible. If sex is not consensual, then violating another person's human right. Marriage doesn't give you a license to violate your wife's human rights.
Because I've seen quite a lot of these sort of domestic situations where interpreting and stuff and doing this blog, people have come to me and said, oh, this and this happened, and I didn't think it was rape because he was my partner. And I'm thinking, like, people need to understand that it can still be rape if there is no consent at the time. Can you explain what that means, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Every woman is in full right of her body, and it's, up to her what happens. So whether someone's in a marriage for 25 years or someone's met someone, or even if someone is engaging in sexual intercourse and changes their mind in the middle of it, like once a woman says no, no means no, and there is no, and once there is no consent, then that becomes a rape. It's very unusual where we encounter a stranger, complete stranger. I'm pleased to say that's not something we deal with very often.
It's not like on the telly.
It's not like on the telly. In general, these are cases where people know each other, and sadly, often is the case, are in a relationship together, where you'd expect, them to be in a loving relationship, but sadly. One of the issues we deal with in rape investigations is a lack of reporting and victims not making reports to the police.
Why not?
Well, there's a number of reasons for this. Sadly, it's some victims feel ashamed or humiliated, and they often feel like they won't get the support if they come to us.
Right, yeah.
And our message is we're there to support all survivors of sex offences. We absolutely support them from the beginning. It's completely confidential. We listen, even if people just want to talk to us but not make an official report. We sometimes, that can happen as well, where people can contact some of our partners, such as the SARC at Hope House, which is where victims of sex offences go and they get forensically examined.
Oh, right,
but they also get offered a huge amount of support in terms of counselling around their sexual health, in terms of domestic violence.
A lot of stuff I have seen is that she doesn't say no because if it's a domestic situation, she's afraid of the violence that will ensue. So I don't know, what can these women do?
Sometimes reporting it in itself is enough to disrupt whatever's going on. Even freeing themselves from just getting away from the offender, those are positive outcomes. When an individual reports an offence of rape to us, one of the things we often consider very early on are forensics. So they're going to a location where they're going to be supported. They're going to be forensically examined in the most sensitive and understanding way possible by trained professionals. Whether it's a male victim or a female victim, they might have a preference for a male or a female person to be with them. Where we can, we honour that request. It's often a necessary part of a rape investigation. Yeah. However, it's not always. Some rape investigations are historical, so they've happened so long ago that we wouldn't be looking at a forensic examination. And it's their right. It's not like they must have a forensic examination, but it's something we offer. The supports, it's all support that we offer, and we look to support them through every aspect. Maybe they can't transport themselves to where we need, so we collect them. Maybe they don't want a marked unit, or they want an unmarked unit.
But one thing that I know a lot of people kind of have this in their mind is that, especially if it's someone who they knew and they're reporting rape against them, well, there was no witnesses. How will no one can prove it. And what I keep telling people is that actually your word counts as evidence. It doesn't need to be independent. Sometimes there is forensic evidence, but the only thing that forensic evidence can prove is that there was a sexual act. It can't prove consent, but it's people's word against each other about proving consent, isn't it?
It can be. I think it's important to allow where someone's been a victim of whether it's a domestic offence or a sexual assault, I think it's important for them, by reporting it to the police, we can, we're the specialists, we're the professionals, we can worry about that. But we believe our victims, we take our victims seriously,
Sure.
we want to support them. There are cases where we investigate something fully, and based on all the evidence available, we're not in a position to take it forward to court
Because it.
because we don't have the proof. But there are cases where people have been convicted on the word of somebody else. It's about, the main thing is to report it. I would hate for victims to feel like they shouldn't come forward because they don't feel they've got enough proof. I think it's really a really important step is to make the report, make the call to us.
And this stands for any offence, because the victim doesn't think there's enough proof. Actually, you're not the expert. Ask the experts at the police, and they will tell you.
And it's about that support as well. Often, with all the support we offer in our partner agencies, for example, in Gloucestershire, there's GRASAC and there's GDAS, and these organisations that support victims of survivors of sexual assault, and they're really professional, really helpful.
One thing I was wondering of is, so if someone reports that they've been raped, whether by a partner or a stranger, what's the process they can expect?
Obviously, if something's happened more recently, then obviously we look at forensic considerations, which people will know even just from watching cop shows on TV, But the process is, the first step is how the report is made. And people can report to the police in so many different ways. Even sometimes people might tell their doctor, who can tell the police. It's all about safety and confidentiality as well. People can sometimes report online. But if we get something through like that, we want to work with that person, we want to help that person, we take it really seriously. But the procedure, the first thing is we would speak to someone in a room similar to this. So it's not like a scary police station. It's away from a police station. It's comfortable, and we talk about it to them on camera, so that people can see the effect the offences have had on them, and they're just in a position, it's all in their own words, and they can tell us exactly what they want, and they can go back years and years. We'll investigate something, I've investigated cases recently, 20, 30, 40 years old. And I always say to victims that when you contact us, this is your opportunity to take control back. You're taking control from the offender by doing that. And it's, for many victims, it's empowering just to do that. When we think of sex offences, we routinely think of women as the victims, but also we deal with male victims as well. And again, it's the exact same thing, we fully support, we fully understand. Whether, in some cases people, we encounter cases where there might be a male victim of sexual offences, and they feel deep shame and humiliation. They're really frightened to come forward. But for us, it's, you're not alone.
One of the questions I had from someone was, she reported her partner, and the partner was released on bail, and she couldn't understand how that's possible. So I understand how bail is thought about in court and all that, but a lot of people, at least the ones that ask the questions of me, they think, well, it's such a serious offence, surely they will be in prison immediately. I'm thinking, it's not necessary, right?
Like you say, the cases they tend to be complex, they tend to take a long time. We have to go often back into a lot of history. We have to talk to, if we have witnesses, and it's a very serious offence, so it's not something that we take lightly. So sometimes victims do feel let down when someone's bailed, but we tend to have conditions attached to that bail, that they're not allowed to contact the victim, and even by contacting them through a friend or indirectly, often they're committing other offences, and we go straight out and arrest them for that. So again, it's about that constant support and communication. It's such a brave thing to do. I can't explain how brave and big a deal it is to come forward and report a sex offence, and to do so against your partner, who in many cases is even if they're hurting you, it's someone you really love. But it's the best, that's not love. But sadly, we do deal with a lot of cases where people know the offender.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's if someone's in a marriage, when people get married, they get married to support and love one another, and live in a safe place and be happy. And when a situation manifests itself where one partner is abusing the other and making their life a daily misery, and whether it's controlling their life or hurting them, that's unacceptable, and we want to stop that.